Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition, it's Castelian, brought to us by Trifix. Castelian would be released for many home consoles and under a handful of different names over the years, but this is the version that I am most familiar with, though unfortunately as a kid I didn't get too far. But now it's time for me to see this one through to the end. So here we go with Castelian for the NES. Castelian is basically a puzzle game where you're playing as this little creature and your goal is to get to the top of the tower. As we begin the game, you can either press start to go right in or press select in order to change up a few options, including tweaking whether you have the effects or the music, and whether or not you're playing 1 or 2 player. The only option though that I'm going to make sure I change is the difficulty, and I'm going to change it over to the hero setting, which means there's more enemies at play to try to knock me down. Since your goal in Castelian is to make it to the top of the tower and find the right exit door, you can get knocked down the tower in a number of ways, whether it's through false platforms or being hit by an enemy. The enemies in the game don't instantly kill you or anything like that. Instead, they just kind of make you flip and fall down, and you'll be dropped a level or two, potentially missing whatever door or elevator that you're trying to get to. Your controls are pretty simple, being able to move, you can jump, as well as you're also able to fire out a projectile. To fire out the projectile, you have to be pressing no buttons, make sure that you're not moving, and in order to jump, of course, you're going to want to be pressing the direction you're going to want to jump, and then hitting the button to do so. The jumping is finicky though, and I can't stress enough that it's a good idea to practice it a bit before you make it into later levels where you really need to have your jumping down. As we reach the top here, we're going to go through the last door and move on to the next tower, but first is a little bonus area. I find it funny when you complete a level in the game that you reach the top of the tower, but then you fall back down to the bottom of the tower and then you get your score wrapped up. Thankfully, the bonus level you don't have to complete. If you end up losing at any point, it's okay. You'll just instantly then move on to the next level. But if you are able to complete the bonus level, you do get more time for that next stage. Level number 2, the Realm of Robots. Things start to get a little bit more difficult. We're going to start off by going to the left and doing a couple of short jumps. Ride this elevator up, wait for the enemy to get out of your way, and then jump over to the next elevator and go through the door. Once we're out, we're going to have to go up the staircase. Just by walking into the staircase, you go up one by one. You don't have to actually jump them. Though there are stairs that have a little bit bigger of a gap that you will need to jump later on. Sometimes with an enemy chasing you down like these ones that spawn on whichever line of sight you're on, so whatever level you're on, they're going to be there and they're going to try to track you down. Get them to spawn and then, of course, go to that next platform. There are a few times, though, where those guys will actually come in handy, knocking us down a platform or two when we need it. Go through the door here and you'll drop down. Be very careful once again of the enemies. Another one of those ones flying overhead. And then you can ride the elevator up. Thankfully, the enemies can bump into the elevator and be repelled off of them. The thing is, though, if you're on the elevator and moving, you can still end up getting hit. You can also get hit while you're in the air, and sometimes, even if an enemy's just slightly above you, it looks like they may pass, they may still just barely be able to clip you and knock you down. The game is not the easiest. Sometimes you have to go extra cautious when going up some of these areas and just barely make it past some of the projectiles. Thankfully though, this is the end of the level. Go up this elevator and we've reached the end of the stage just in time. I always love at the beginning of the bonus levels the number of whichever tower you just complete, it's there, and the game always is letting you know which one you're on with the number in the lower right corner. The movement and jumping is a little bit easier during these levels than it is in the tower. There's a total of 8 towers in the game. At the end of it, you have to go through the door, but if you're able to complete it, you get a little bit of bonus time. As we begin the next level, start off by going to the left and then ride up this elevator. Wait for the enemy to spawn if there's not one already spawning, and he'll knock you down. One of those times where it actually helps you to get one of those enemies to hit you. Right after that, we're going to destroy the platform and then ride the elevator up after we get rid of that fake platform. Unfortunately, I get hit right after coming out the door, but it doesn't send me anywhere else because the platform next one below me was pretty far already, so I was able to recover. Throughout the game, you're going to have these flashing platforms that you'll have to destroy using your projectile, and that'll allow you to kind of open up an area, usually an elevator, so you can head up to the next area. Go through the next couple of doors and then ride the elevator up here to the exit and finish up level number 3. Each one of the bonus areas is different from one another, getting increasingly more difficult to platform through with more pits and then disappearing and reappearing platforms as well as you're trying to collect all of the bonus items. Slippery Slide is up next. There's a few areas in this one that can kind of send you back when you end up attacking enemies, so you have to be very careful of that. Use this elevator here and then fire a blast over to the right to destroy that brick. Here we're going to use the elevator just to go right back down to avoid that enemy, and then go over a little bit more and fire a couple of shots to destroy a couple more flashing bricks, and then go down that platform as well. After popping out the door, just go over a few steps and go through the next door and up an elevator. Be very careful here, you have to go down quickly, watching out for these enemies, and then go through the door on the bottom of the platforms. Turn to the right and destroy one of the 2 flashing bricks, then go down the platforms going through the door, and now you'll be able to go to the left and destroy the other flashing brick. After they've both been destroyed, do a little bit of backtracking to that elevator we couldn't use just a little bit ago, and now we can use this one to ride up. Here, ride the next elevator up. Wait a moment or so for the platform to go back downwards, and that way you'll be able to jump over to the right side. Out of the door, be careful once again, more enemies just moving up and down, just gotta be quick about it, but you should be able to have enough space to get through there. Ride the next elevator up pretty high, wait for the enemies to kind of move past. Unfortunately, one of these guys ends up spawning and knocks me down. I just have to take the elevator right back up. Though interestingly enough, we will actually want that to kind of happen on the other side. There's a few times in the game where you have these kind of lineup of false blocks, and when you land on one, you're going to instantly fall through them all. I unfortunately tried to hit jump, but it just didn't register in time, so I fall and have to just go right back up and go over that pit this time. Now, in order to get to the platform below, we're just going to wait a moment or two for another one of those enemies to spawn. Once he spawns, he'll hit us and knock us down to the platform below. Use this to take the elevator up, and you'll be on that platform just above where we were, and you can go through the door to finish up level number 4. Unfortunately, I don't make it very far into bonus room 4 before I end up falling down into the pit and then heading into the 5th tower, the Broken Path. Start off by taking the elevator up. We're going to drop down. Watch out for this enemy. You'll have the flashing brick, destroy that, and then take the elevator up. Head up the staircase right afterwards. There may be an enemy flying overhead, so be careful of that. When you make it to the top of the next elevator, another flying enemy, so be careful on your jumps that you don't jump into it. You just kind of pass as it bypasses you. Drop down, destroy the false block on this elevator, and destroy the 2 flashing blocks over to the left. You're going to go up and hit this platform and fall down, but that's what we want to happen. Now we're going to go back up, and now go over that gap, and go to the other elevator that we just freed up a moment ago. From this elevator, take a couple of jumps over to the left side, stand on this platform, and destroy the flashing brick over to the left. Now, do a little bit of backtracking, just a little bit, and drop down this pit so you can make it to this elevator. From that elevator, jump over to the far left. This will allow us to reach safely this elevator that we freed up a moment ago. From here, take this one up, drop on down, and you have to wait a moment for the platform to go back down. In order to make a jump like this, you want to be far away, like as far as you can away, and then make the jump, as you'll just barely make it, but if you're too close, you'll bounce off of it instead and fall down. So the better chance of making it is actually being a little bit farther away. Just gotta be careful you're not too far, or else you'll miss it that way. Everything in this game comes down to the very kind of finicky platforming at times. Here we have a couple of sets of doors. Some will lead to false doors, so just take the correct ones, the 4th one first, then the 3rd one, and that'll put you here. There's a few times in the game where it's the 3rd door that we have to use. Take out any enemies, be careful of a few, and make it to the final door of the level. The bonus room for level number 5 spells out the name of the game here, as you can see with the various letters, but unfortunately, once again, I don't make it too far in this. Next up is the yellow themed tower, Summer's Delight. Well, I don't know how much of a delight it really is, and nor does it really make me think of summer all that much, but still. Start off by dropping down here. We're going to destroy the flashing block over to the left, and then go to the right and take the elevator up. Watch out for the bouncing enemy, and go through this door. Once you pop out, wait for the enemy to go down, and then jump over the little gap, and go to the next elevator. Ride that up, go over to the right just a few steps, and you'll be able to destroy the next flashing brick. Here, wait for the enemy to go out of the way and drop down. Ride the elevators up. And eventually you'll make it up to here. Go through the first of the 2 doors that you come to there. Then continue on your way. You can make some jumps here to make it up these platforms. Like I said, they're a little bit trickier to make it because they're farther away from one another. Just that bit of extra gap causes your character not to be able to do it. Now here's a fun trick. You can actually jump from here and land on top of these false bricks. And that'll allow us to kind of get down here to this elevator. Kind of an interesting way and weird thing you gotta do with that. This allows us, though, to go over to the right and destroy this block, and then we're going to drop all the way down and take this elevator just up a little bit so we can jump over to the left. Take the next elevator up and then quickly get past these enemies. It takes precise timing. There's only a little bit of a window that you have in order to get past. You'll have to wait for another enemy to go by before you're able to make it past the next jump. For the next series, though, we're just going to do very short jumps. Just keep doing short jumps on the edge of the platform, and you'll make it up and reach the end door. If you don't keep jumping, though, and you end up stumbling, you're going to get hit by one of the enemies and drop down, and you'll have to try it over again. It's a weird kind of running gauntlet there at the very end of the level, but once you have the timing down with the jumps, it doesn't become too bad. Down to the final 2 towers left here. For this bonus room, you can see a lot more of the disappearing and reappearing blocks. They just constantly keep spawning in and out. For a lot of it, you can just keep running, and as long as you time your jumps off the platforms, you'll survive for a while. Entering Tower 7, the nasty one. None of the other towers are quite as nasty, apparently, as the nasty one. Start off by going over to the right, drop down the floor, and take the elevator up to the next platform. Once up here, walk over to the right side. You'll drop through a couple of false platforms and make it to another elevator. Be very careful of the enemies early on during this stage, as they can easily knock you down into that water and you'll lose a life. Take this elevator up to destroy the small flashing brick, and then go over to the left side here and drop down to this elevator. Drop off the edge and you'll destroy the other false brick, allowing you now to use this elevator to go up. You can't reach the 2 flashing bricks over to the left, so we're just going to keep going over to the right side and destroy them from here. Unfortunately, trying to go up this elevator, I end up getting hit and sent back down, but you don't lose too much progress. Just have to be careful I don't lose any more by getting hit by one of these enemies again and knocked back down off these elevators. Quickly move past the up and down moving enemies. You can do jumps along here to avoid kind of falling down. Those little gaps will slow you down a bit. Use the elevator if need be to kind of get away from certain enemies, and then when you have that path clear, make sure you take it. Use jumps if need be to help you out. Thankfully, those little dips allow you to get just low enough to avoid enemy contact. Here you have 4 elevators. Take the 3rd one. This one will take you all the way up to this platform up here. Once up here, go over to the right side, watching out for a few enemies, and then drop down a few platforms, taking this elevator up, and you've reached the end of level 7. Time for the final of the bonus rooms. This one, pretty much more of the same that we've been seeing. Nothing too fancy, nothing new, nothing spectacular about it, but go a little bit ways into it. It's time for the final tower, the Edge of Doom. It starts off with a lot of enemies right away. Time it so you can get underneath of them. If you time it right at the very beginning, just hesitate for just a second from the start and then hold right, you can run past all of them in just that first pass. Drop down here and you're going to destroy the false brick as well as then land on the flashing one. We're going to jump over to the right now and then destroy the flashing brick, jumping over to where that elevator is. Just a way to do that. There's a couple of ways to go about doing that exact same spot though. Use the elevator up and then go through this door here. Once up, you'll have to make a couple of little jumps here. Unfortunately, I end up bouncing off, but thankfully you can just kind of take the door and get right back to where you were. Here I make all the jumps finally correctly, and now I can take the elevator up just a little bit to this platform here. Watch out as the enemies will be slowly moving up and down during this segment. Destroy the brick and then take the elevator up using the door above it. Make a couple of jumps over to the next door and then go through there, which will give you access to that other flashing brick. With the other flashing brick destroyed, now head back. Jump over to the right a couple of times and go back through that door. Thankfully now we can take the elevator, so drop on down and use this one. Once you've reached the top, jump over to the left side, drop down and destroy all these false platforms, and then ride the next elevator up. Now, we actually want to go all the way to the top. I made a mistake for a second and realized, oh yeah, no, the flashing brick I need is above me. So take the elevator all the way up. You actually sometimes can control the elevators. Most of the time they automatically go to the floor, but there are some times where you can actually control going up and down at least 1 or 2 floors. Then once we have done that, go over to the right here and use this elevator up. Dropping down, you'll see another one of these flashing bricks. You can land on the platform next to it, thankfully, to easily destroy it, and then take the next elevator up. Make sure you turn around here and destroy the one of the flashing bricks. Then, continue up the staircase, being careful of any enemy that ends up spawning during this segment. Unfortunately, you have to get pretty close to the brick to get rid of it, but either way, you can either do a nice little jump here or go back around the other way to get to the elevator. Then all you need to do is go through the third door, and you've completed Castelian for the NES. So, there you have it, Castelian for the NES. A puzzle game that I had as a kid that I was just never able to best, but at least as an adult I can finally say that I have conquered Castelian. Is this a game that you actually had as a kid, or do you have fond memories of another version of this one? There's so many ports of Castelian out there with different names and the like, so let me know down in the comment section below if you have any history with this one. But with that, that's going to wrap this episode of Play It Through. I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, I hope you enjoyed.